Have you ever been in a class staring at a wall of text about some really dense theory and just thinking, when am I ever going to use this? Well, today, we're diving into a fascinating educational model that's built to fix that exact problem. It's all about turning abstract ideas into hands-on projects. Let's get into it.
And that right there, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? In an age where we're all swimming in information and glued to our devices, how do you take these big, old, complex ideas and make them click for students today? It's a huge challenge, and it's at the absolute heart of what we're talking about.
So you really have two different worlds of learning. On one side, you've got the classic passive learning, you know the drill. Sit in a lecture, memorize some facts, and hope it sticks. But on the other side, you've got active discovery. This is where you're the one leading the charge, digging into real problems and learning by actually doing something. The whole model we're exploring is about making that shift from just listening to actively discovering.
Okay, so let's get specific. What's the actual problem we're trying to solve here? Our source material, which comes from an academic guide in Vietnam, gives us a really powerful case study.
So the specific challenge they looked at was teaching Marxist-Leninist philosophy to university students. Now, look, it doesn't matter what the subject is. These are problems you see everywhere. You've got dense, heavy theory. You've got students who grew up with the internet, and you run the huge risk that they'll just memorize words for a test without ever really thinking about what they mean. So the big question is, how do you make it matter to them?
And this is where the solution comes in. The guide introduces this really smart framework to tackle the problem. It's called WebQuest 3.0.
So what is it? At its heart, a WebQuest is a project where you learn by investigating. It's not about being fed answers. Instead, it's like you're given a mission. The model guides you as you use all sorts of tools, some digital, some not, to explore a topic, really analyze it, and then create something new to show what you found.
So how does this actually work? Well, it's not a free-for-all. It's not just go figure it out. No, this whole method is built on a super clear 6-step blueprint that gives structure to the entire experience for everyone involved.
And here's that journey step by step. It kicks off with a hook, an introduction. Then it gives you a very specific task. It outlines the process you'll follow and the resources you can use. Then it explains how you'll be evaluated, and finally it all wraps up with a conclusion. Every single step matters, but the whole thing really hinges on step number 2, the task.
Yeah, the task is where the magic happens. This is the absolute linchpin of the whole model. It's the moment where all that abstract theory is given a real-world mission. It's what turns students from just listeners into actual investigators.
And we're not talking about some vague assignment here. It gets super specific. Students get into small groups and are told, okay, your mission is to analyze a real-world issue, something like economic inequality or climate change, but you have to do it using the philosophical ideas we're studying. And their goal isn't just a grade, it's a real product, a poster or a presentation, plus a short essay they write together.
Now, here's one of the parts I think is really, really cool about this model. It's incredibly flexible. It doesn't just shove everyone in front of a computer screen. Instead, it brilliantly blends the best of digital tools with the tried and true power of traditional methods. You might think it's all about screens, right? But get this, the humble notebook is a central tool. Students are actually encouraged to use good old pen and paper for brainstorming, for sketching out mind maps to see how ideas connect, and even for drafting their first thoughts. You know, that physical act of writing can spark creativity in a way that just typing can't sometimes.
And then you bring in the tech. You pair that classic notebook with a tool that's already in everyone's pocket, their smartphone. Suddenly, that phone becomes a research library for finding articles and videos. It's the group chat hub using apps like Zalo or WhatsApp. It's a design studio with Canva, a writing room with Google Docs. You're using simple, everyday tech to do really powerful academic work.
Okay, so you've got this clear mission, you've got this amazing hybrid toolkit, but how do you make sure the learning is actually solid? How do you know that students have really understood the philosophy and aren't just making pretty posters?
And this is absolutely crucial. For a project like this to be more than just fun and games, it has to be backed by some serious academic rigor. There needs to be a clear, transparent way to evaluate the work, so students know exactly what they're aiming for. And this rubric from the source shows exactly how they do it. It's not a secret. Just look at how the points are broken down. The biggest chunk of the grade, a full 60% combined, comes from understanding the theory correctly and then applying it in a deep, logical way to a real social problem. The creative stuff and teamwork skills are in there too, but the heavy lifting is all about the analysis. When you boil it all down, this quote from the guide just says it all, doesn't it? The whole point of the WebQuest 3.0 model isn't just to help someone pass a test. It's to give them a new tool, a new framework, a new lens they can use to make sense of the world long after the class is finished.
And you can see how this 6-step hybrid tech approach isn't just for philosophy, right? Imagine using this for economics, for history, for sociology, maybe even for tricky questions in scientific ethics. So I guess the question to leave you with is this: what complicated problems in your work, in your life, or in your own learning could you start to tackle with an approach like this?